The thing is, the size of these guys are so big, and they've been pulling them. I mean, you're talking about guys that are 6'4", 315, 6'2", 270, all, pulling left and right, and they're doing a really good job of it. And, it seems like they simplified their schemes. Maybe they may not have, I don't know, but by looking, you've got to step correctly on the offensive line or you're going to get beat. And that's the first thing that I noticed when I watched their line is how they're stepping down and how they're washing people out. And, so if we could pull this up just real quick.
With guys that size, how many times do you think you'd have heard me say over the headset, run counter, get to it, the big guys pulling.
Exactly.
Taylor, I got this graphic I want to pull up as we look into how Dutchtown has been able to make that transition.
And look, while this is important, this is any line across the state. They don't never get the credit that they do, but you can see you went from they had 26 rushes for 91 yards against North Shore and lost 13-0. George Washington Carver, they rushed for 430 yards, 10 yards a carry. And last night with Walker, they had 52 carries for 265 yards. But, Jimmy, the key there is they opened the first half with a 13-play, 79-yard drive for a touchdown, and they opened the second half with meaning their first drive, with a 12-play, 83-yard drive. And when you can do that, especially coming right out, it's a big deal. And here's the size of these guys. You got Wayne McKinney, Christian Gotro, Chase Cangelosi, Hunter Lowry, Ethan Fields, who's a commit to Purdue, and then Dylan DeSherry. Those are some big kids. And once they start moving, it's going to be tough to stop them. And then I think Joseph Venus is the coach. He came over from Lutcher. He was a player at Lutcher in 2011. We may have coached against him.
Look, I want Dutchtown to be as successful as the next guy, but in no point, I don't think we can honor the entire offensive line as our student athletes of the week. I don't know if Walk-Ons is ready for that. He's a heck of a guy, heck of a bunch to take care of. But man, look, it shows you everything comes down to the guys up front.
Those first 2 weeks, they averaged 3.5 points a game. I mean, they scored 7 points total.
That was it
in their first 2 weeks.
So
since then, they've averaged 33.
We had a little video. I don't know if we're able to pull that up either, but it was just. I think with an offensive line is an offensive line. I happened to be watching this right there, so that's why we're highlighting them.
And also, let's give some credit again. We did it on the radio segment a little while ago. Pearson Barat, the quarterback, he was a starter last year. Cade basically was asked to move to a slot receiver, moved him to a returning starting quarterback to the third-string quarterback. Now the starting quarterback gets injured last week. Their backup's a sophomore. Coach Mistretta opts to go this week with Perrant back at with his senior leadership and ability and experience, which I fully get. And here this kid never hung his hat, never pouted, just basically said, "What do you need me to do, Coach? I'm willing to do it."
And they were effective.
And Todd said he can snap a football further than he can throw it. I'm just saying.
And he snaps it about 84 yards. That's the thing about it.
He's committed to Tulane, right?
I believe so, yeah. And he's also a good baseball player. But,
right.
It's always tough in those situations. And, you just got to kind of lean on a senior sometimes. And, hey, if you can run the ball effectively, equally as passing the ball effectively, I'm going to take running the ball. I just think that it's, it's just going to grind it out. And ultimately you can control the game that way.
Well, here's my – so – you have to, like Ken Hill says, you got to mow your own grass. You got to do your job and make sure that every gap's covered. You get two guys in one gap instead of a guy in each gap. That's the difference in a touchdown.
And it's discipline because sometimes they're going to be asked to maybe shoot the gap. Other times they're not. And, watch they'll come back to another play. The pulling lineman coming this way. And this is really a good block by the lead guard as he has to get down. Yeah. And then big 77, Ethan Fields with the block. And then, that's Ethan Oakwind with the run down the sideline last week against George Washington Carver. So now he goes the other way with it.
74.
Yep. There's your kick. Boom. Back gets up in there. Gary Dukes. And he gets in. And it's really just some good blocking here. You see Dylan DeSherry out here at 83. He's a 6'4", 220 tight end. They're running power here, and it's good. Look at their hats. They've got low hats. Their backs are flat. Look at that drive. I mean, it's just sealing everything to the left.
You make a block like that, if you're a running back, you make one guy miss, you can almost take it to the house.
Well, you'd like to smack Gary here because he needs to stay on the hip of the guard and stay with him and go up. Don't go away from him because those big linemen are there for a reason. They can
he went away from his butt on that.
Yep. So there's a power again, and he gets another 6 or 7 yards, but their running game has been really good. And you can see Pearson back there at quarterback.
I like it when they pull both of those guys.
I know.
I love it.
We do. We like it.
I love it.
And they sometimes they'll switch it up and they pull the tight end with the guard, So,
right.
But either way, they're going to get 6'4", 250 coming around them, And those guys can move like that. Boy.
And that wears on you. As the games go on, those 4 and 5 yard plays become 15, and then 20, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's 60.
Yep.
He's Coach Todd Black along with Jimmy Roy, Cade Wising here on the Week 6 edition of the Lake Urgent Care Lake